Have you ever looked around and wondered, why is it that the people with the deepest souls, the biggest hearts, and the most powerful callings are often the loneliest or the brokest? Why do the chosen ones, the ones who were born to change the world, struggle the most before they rise? If this sounds like your life, then this message was meant for you. Because once you understand why this is happening to you, you'll realize you were never being punished. You were being prepared. Let's start with something nobody tells you when you're spiritually marked. Being chosen often means being hidden, not just from the world, but even from yourself at first. It's the silence, the rejection, the solitude that creates the conditions for your awakening. Think about it. While others are busy blending into the noise, you're being pulled back, isolated, misunderstood, overlooked. And not because you're weak or unworthy, but because your journey demands a different kind of preparation. The kind of preparation that can't happen in the crowd. Loneliness for a chosen one isn't a curse, it's a cocoon. It's where God reshapes you without the noise, without the interference, without the masks. He strips away what the world put on you so He can reveal what He put inside you. That's why you're not surrounded by people. That's why you feel like no one understands you. Because no one around you was assigned to carry your mission. Your soul signed a contract they never saw. And now, you're waking up to the weight of it. And let's talk about being broke, not just financially, but spiritually drained, emotionally exhausted, physically limited. You've given your best to people who never saw your value. You've poured into places that left you empty. You've worked harder than most, yet seen the least in return. Why? Because chosen ones don't build wealth the ordinary way. Your provision isn't tied to hustle. It's tied to alignment. And until you're aligned with your purpose, the money won't flow, the doors won't open, and the help won't come. Because God doesn't want you succeeding at what you weren't called to do. Every time you tried to fit into a system that wasn't built for your light, it rejected you. That job that didn't work out, that relationship that fell apart, that city that drained your energy. Those weren't losses. Those were divine redirections, because your abundance is tied to your authenticity. Until you show up as who you really are, not the version of you that pleases people, not the version that plays small, but the bold divine awakened you. Until then, the blessings remain locked. But here's the part no one wants to hear. The reason you're still alone and still broke might be because you're still shrinking, still second-guessing yourself, still waiting for validation, still afraid to be seen in your full truth. And the longer you delay your becoming, the longer the drought continues. Because what's waiting for you is massive, but it's not available to your old self. It's waiting for the version of you who fully owns it. If you feel like you've lost everything, friends, energy, clarity, even your mind at times, it's not because you're cursed. It's because you're carrying light in a world addicted to shadows. The warfare you feel is proof that you're carrying something powerful. The delays are not denials. They're delays because God is stretching your capacity. He's testing your obedience. He's preparing your character to match your calling. Because chosen ones are not made in comfort. They're forged in fire. That's why your path doesn't look like everyone else's. That's why your timing feels off. You're not late. You're on divine time. But divine time isn't fast. It's flawless. It takes into account every heartbreak, every betrayal, every detour, and still delivers you to destiny. Not a second too soon, not a moment too late, but you must stay in the process. You must not give up in the silence. Because what feels like abandonment is actually alignment. Sometimes God has to clear the room to prepare the blessing. He removes the fake friends, the energy leeches, the distractions. He cuts off the noise so you can hear Him. That's why your phone stopped ringing. That's why you feel invisible. Because elevation requires separation. You're not being ignored. You're being protected. Some people can't go with you to the next level. Not because they're bad people, but because your growth would expose their stagnation. Your light would make their comfort zone uncomfortable. If you're watching this, you're probably tired. Tired of being strong. Tired of hoping. Tired of waiting. But let me tell you something real. This isn't the end of your story. This is the middle. The part where the hero almost gives up. The part where the pressure peaks. The part where it looks like nothing's changing. But in the spirit realm, everything is shifting. You just can't see it yet. Chosen ones always feel the storm before the breakthrough. Your loneliness is the soil for divine connection. Your lack is the invitation for supernatural provision. Your breakdown is the birthing place of your blessing. But you must endure. Not because God is testing you for fun, but because what you're called to carry is heavy. You'll be trusted with influence, impact, legacy. But you first have to be trusted with obscurity, with pain, with surrender. You're not going through this because you're weak. You're going through this because you're strong enough to handle it, and humble enough to not let it change your heart. This world has fooled many into thinking that success is money, followers, luxury. But for chosen ones, true success is alignment. It's waking up in peace. It's walking in purpose. It's hearing God's voice louder than the opinions around you. And that's why He's allowing the stripping away. Because He's after your soul, not your image. He's preparing you for something money can't buy. He's building character, vision, and resilience. So when the success finally comes, it doesn't crush you, it crowns you. And let me tell you this, the isolation you feel today will one day become your testimony. The bank account that looks empty now will soon overflow in ways that make no earthly sense. The rejection you felt will become your redirection into purpose. Don't envy those who seem ahead of you. Don't compare your path to theirs. Because while they were building in the public, God was building you in private. The foundation He's laying in your soul is unshakable. The clarity He's giving you is rare. The strength He's developing in your spirit is unmatched. And when He says it's time, nothing will stop it. Not your past, not your enemies, not even your own doubts. He chose you, and when you're chosen, you're protected, even in pain. You're covered, even in confusion. You're rising, even when it feels like you're breaking. This is not the season to quit. This is the season to dig deeper, to fast, to pray, to isolate with intention. Because something is coming. The silence will break. The money will flow. The divine connections will appear. And you will understand why it had to be this way. But until then, trust the process. You're not just waiting, you're becoming. You're not just surviving, you're transforming. Everything that's been stripped from you was never part of your divine identity. Every friendship that ended, every door that closed, every dollar that disappeared, it all served a higher purpose, to make you remember who you truly are. You were never meant to live a normal life. You were meant to live a supernatural one. Look around. Most people are chasing comfort, chasing validation, chasing crowds. But not you. You were chosen to chase truth. And truth is a lonely road. There's no applause when you're healing. No crowds cheering when you're praying in silence. No spotlight when you're fasting. When you're saying no to temptation. When you're choosing your higher self over your ego. That's the path of the chosen. Quiet, humbling, and sacred. You've probably asked, why me? Why do I have to lose so much just to grow? And the answer is this, because your destiny is greater than your distractions. You see, not everyone was built to carry glory. Most people fold under pressure. But God looked at you and said, this one can handle it. So the pain came not to destroy you, but to forge you. The poverty wasn't a punishment, it was a pause. A sacred stillness to redirect your desires from the material to the eternal, to rewire your definition of success, to remind you, your true wealth is spiritual first, and when you tap into that, the physical will follow. Let's be real. You've seen how people treated you when you had nothing. You've seen their true faces in your weakest moments. That was God's way of filtering your circle before your breakthrough. He let them reject you now so they wouldn't leech from you later. He let them misunderstand you now so they wouldn't manipulate your blessings later. And that loneliness you feel, that's not emptiness. That's sacred space being cleared for the right people, the divine tribe, the spiritual family that's being aligned with your frequency. You've been prepared in pain so you can recognize truth and clarity. You had to experience betrayal so you'd recognize loyalty when it finally shows up. You had to walk alone so you'd know how to stand strong even when no one claps for you. Every tear watered the soil of your future. Every sleepless night carved out room for your calling. Every sacrifice shaped your soul for divine elevation. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. What's meant for you is still on schedule. But here's the twist. What's coming isn't just about you. Your breakthrough carries blessings for others. Your calling is connected to lives you haven't even met yet. That's why the fire has been hotter. That's why the process has felt longer. Because you're not just birthing a dream.